Afternoon, guys. What is going on? Teacher Eli here, and today we have our third video class, which is going to be the one that we're gonna use to finish the book. So by the end of this video lesson and the conclusion of all the exercises, you're gonna be able to start the next book number 2 with me next week in the video classes. All right, I'm gonna post the correction for all the activities next week's video, either attached or in the video. Without further ado, let's get started into the final lesson of the first book. With this book in hands, I ask you guys to get it open on page 46, past tenses. You get it open in this page, and we're going to be talking about past tenses. And such as the present tenses, the past ones are also found in 3 different categories. The simple one, which can be continuous or progressive, or the past perfect one, which is also the hardest because it's the one that we use with participle verbs and the auxiliary verb had. Before we get started, I'm gonna get open here on Google. I don't know why was that advertising open right there. I'm gonna get it open here on Google, list of irregular verbs, and you guys should have this list open as well. All right, the first link here for the irregular verbs, simple past tense and past participle. These are the ones you're gonna use in the past perfect tenses, right? So let's get started. The simple past expresses a punctual action which happened at a specific past moment that does not necessarily result in a present consequence. Basically, I'm talking about something which happened and doesn't happen anymore, or basically something that we did. When we are using the verb to be forms was and wasn't, or were and weren't, depending on the personal pronouns, we gotta pay attention to something, which is the verb to be always comes before the subject in questions and after in for affirmative or negative sentences. Before the subject in questions and after it. And after it for affirmative or negative sentences. I have some examples here. I have a question here. Was your best friend unemployed before the quarantine? No, he wasn't, but now he isn't working anymore. So I have here my pronoun and the verb to be, right? So I put here as person, but they could be the personal pronouns as well. I, you, he, she, it, we, and they, with the auxiliary verbs did and didn't. Together with the auxiliary verbs, these main verbs, they don't suffer any kind of change in their verbal form, so they're always going to be in their infinitive form, which is this first one here. Every single time I use the auxiliary verb did or didn't, they're going to be in this form. If I use nothing, they're going to be in this form or conjugated with the ed rule, with the ed norm. And in the past participle, they're going to be either in this form here, present perfect, or past perfect, all the perfect tenses, either in this form here, or they're going to be also with had, right? So had awoken, had been, had born, had beat, had become. Right? Talk about this perfect forms a little later. Let's focus here in the questions with did. All right. So, did your team lose the match? It didn't lose the match. It lost the match 0-2. In the third example, I don't use the auxiliary verb because it's an affirmative sentence. So in questions and negative sentences, we're always going to use the auxiliary, which means that we do not need to change the verb. You see that here when I use the auxiliary is lose, did your team lose? It didn't lose. And here it becomes lost, it lost. So did you work? I didn't work, I worked. Sound T. Normally when it's a regular verb finishing a silent consonant sound, we pronounce with sound of T in the end. So work, instead of pronouncing worked, we pronounce worked, right? Differences between long and short answers using did. Did she close her shop last month? In long answers, yes, she closed her shop last month, or she didn't close her shop last month. However, in a short answer, I would say, yes, she closed it, and no, she did not. And the reason I don't use didn't here is basically because it's preferably use no contractions to emphasis, so it's actually really easy. To ask, there's a mistake here. To ask a question using did, we basically follow the order auxiliary verb, person, main verb, complement. So did you buy the tickets for the show last night, last Saturday, at any finished moment in the past? And when we use affirmative statements in the past, it is necessary to change our main verb accordingly. So if it's regular, we follow the norm suffix "ed," and if it's irregular, we use as the list of irregular verbs as a reference to memorize. Here for the irregular ones, first link in Google, really easy, guys. You must have it memorized by now, right? I worked a lot before the quarantine. I had a lot of tasks to correct in the first week, regular, irregular. For the continuous, the past continuous form, it's a little bit different because we're going to mix up the verb to be in the past with a different form of the main verb. Instead of using the simple past form, we're going to use the gerund. So in this kind of tense, we make use of the past form of the verb to be, was, and were before the subjects for questions and after them for negative and affirmative statements. The main verb used in the tenses must be in the gerund form with the suffix, which I wrote wrong here, and that's not the way we write suffixes, with double F. Thank you, pages, with the suffix at the end of it. Ing, which is similar to indo, ando in Portuguese, right? Você estava caminhando? Sim, eu estava caminhando. Eu não estava caminhando. Were you walking? Yes, I was walking. No, I wasn't walking. Were you and your classmates organizing a prom party before the quarantine? Yeah, we were getting a lot of money for it. No, we weren't thinking about it yet. So basically here I underline the verb to be, I bold the subjects, and make it italic the verbs in the gerund form. The complements are basically normal. So pay attention to that. If there is an action which interrupts a continuous action in the past, it's represented by a simple past tense. I was talking on the phone when you knocked on the door. She was cooking when you scared her. And it's basically that. Something is happening. I was teaching you guys this lesson when my wife called me there, and so I had to interrupt this moment right here. So every single time there's an interruption moments, they're gonna be simple past. It's actually really easy. So using these explanations, you guys go answer the exercises parada obrigatória, pages 48, 49, and 50. I remind you guys here, if you have any questions about any of the exercises, you can talk to me through Instagram or through WhatsApp. Right? You can use Unoesk's portal as well. For the past perfect, we point out actions which were finished in relation to a definite point in the past, which means that multiple actions which happened before the present moment. Example of two actions that happened before the present moment: you didn't watch the game last night and your TV broke. However, to join those two sentences in a chronological order, we must conjugate the verbs differently, being one in the simple past and other in the past participle. What do I mean with past participle? It's actually really easy. In past participle, we are always going to use had or hadn't. So had for affirmations and hadn't for negative ones, and the verb is going to be in the past participle tense. So I didn't watch the game last night, simple past. I didn't watch the game last night because my TV had broken. So my TV had broken is an action that occurred before the fact that I didn't watch the game. That's the reason that I conjugated to the past perfect tense, had broke. When I simultaneously refer to two or more actions in the past perfect, the oldest actions, or the ones which happened before, are changed to the past participle form, and you are obliged to use had or hadn't in all cases, as I did here. As it was affirmative, I used had. If it was negative, I would be using hadn't. In 1998 World Cup's final, Ronaldo didn't score any goal. Physicians confirmed the player had suffered a convulsion minutes before the game. So the fact is that Ronaldo didn't score any goal actually, but to justify that, I can say that he had suffered a convulsion before the game started, or he had suffered a convulsion because I'm in the middle of a sentence in the past, which makes me obliged to use had or hadn't as I confirm in the paragraph above. In this case, I say Ronaldinho didn't score in 98, and to tell something that happened before that, I must use had and plus participle. That's really easy. Remember that participle forms are the verbs represented in the third column of the regular verbs, and the regular ones have the same rules of the simple past. So the irregular ones are going to be this third column right here: begun, beaten, bleed, bled, blown, etc. Alright? Guys, based on this explanation, I want you guys, let me open the photo booth here, to answer the exercise from page 51, 52, and 53. In order to finish this book, I also have a challenge for you guys. From pages 55 to 62, there will be several exercises which simulates the ones you find at the vestibulars. Answer everything and I will correct everything in the next video class. Be ready and also have in hand the book too. Alright? Então, essa parte final em português para que todos entendam perfeitamente. Para finalizarmos esse livro, além de responder os exercícios da parada obrigatória ou das paradas obrigatórias, vocês também têm um desafio de responder o simulado do vestibular, que vai da página 55 a 62. Eu vou passar as respostas de tudo na nossa próxima videoaula, e se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, vocês mandem a mensagem para mim, que ou eu respondo diretamente em PM, ou se eu achar pertinente, eu respondo daí na próxima videoaula. Legal? Thank you so much, valeu, falou, fui!